Have you ever wondered what it would be like to have dinner with the gods? Not just any gods, but the powerful, whimsical, and sometimes temperamental deities of ancient myths. Today, I'm going to tell you a story that's been passed down through generations, a tale about a simple farmer who did just that. It's a story about humility, wisdom, and a very, very special meal. Our story begins in a quiet, sun-drenched valley, nestled between rolling hills. Here lived a farmer named Arian. Arian wasn't rich, nor was he famous. His wealth was the rich, dark soil he tilled, and his fame was the sweetness of the melons he grew. He lived a simple life, guided by the sun and the seasons. He was known throughout the valley for his kindness, his unwavering honesty, and a spirit as generous as his harvests. One scorching afternoon, as Arian was tending to his fields, wiping sweat from his brow, he saw 3 travelers approaching on the dusty road. They were cloaked and hooded, their faces hidden in shadow, and they moved with a strange, almost ethereal grace. They looked weary from their journey, their robes covered in dust. "Good sir," the tallest of the 3 called out, his voice deep and resonant, like the rumble of distant thunder. "We have traveled far and are weary. Might you spare some water and a place to rest in the shade?" Without a moment's hesitation, Arian smiled warmly. "Of course, friends. My home is your home. Come, rest. The sun is unforgiving today." He led them to his modest cottage, a humble structure of wood and stone, but clean and welcoming. He drew cool, fresh water from his well and offered them slices of his sweetest melon. The travelers gratefully accepted. As they ate, they observed Arian. They saw the calloused hands of a man who worked tirelessly, but also the gentle eyes of a man who was content. They saw the simple furniture, the mended clothes, but also the vibrant flowers he grew by his window. A touch of beauty in a life of labor. As dusk began to settle, painting the sky in hues of orange and purple, the second traveler, a woman with a voice as clear and soothing as a mountain spring, spoke. "You have been most kind, farmer. We have not encountered such generosity on our travels." Arian simply shrugged, a humble smile on his face. "It is nothing. To share what little I have is the greatest joy. A guest under my roof is a blessing, not a burden." He then began to prepare his evening meal, a simple stew of vegetables from his garden, fresh bread, and cheese. It wasn't a feast, but it was all he had, and he was eager to share it. "Please," he insisted, "join me for dinner. It's a simple meal, but it's made with a happy heart." The 3 travelers exchanged a look. The third one, who had been silent until now, with eyes that seemed to sparkle with ancient knowledge and mischief, finally spoke. "We would be honored." As they gathered around the small wooden table, a strange and wonderful thing began to happen. With a subtle gesture from the first traveler, the simple clay water jug began to refill itself with the finest, most fragrant wine Arian had ever smelled. When the second traveler touched the loaf of bread, it multiplied, each piece warm and crusty as if fresh from the oven. And when the third traveler waved a hand over the vegetable stew, it transformed into a magnificent feast, with roasted meats, exotic fruits, and delectable pastries appearing on the table. Arian stared, his eyes wide with disbelief. He looked at his guests, then at the miraculous feast spread before him. Fear and awe mingled in his heart. He slowly sank to his knees, his head bowed. "Forgive my ignorance," he whispered, his voice trembling. I did not realize. You are divine." The travelers shed their dusty cloaks. The tall one was revealed to be Zeus, king of the gods, his presence filling the tiny cottage with an aura of immense power. The woman was Hera, queen of the gods, her gaze both regal and kind. And the third was Hermes, the messenger, a playful and intelligent glint in his eyes. They had been traveling the mortal world in disguise, testing the hearts of humanity. Zeus stepped forward and gently raised Arian to his feet. "Rise, good farmer," he said, his powerful voice now softened with respect. "Do not be afraid. We came to see if virtue and hospitality still existed in this world. We have visited the palaces of kings and the mansions of the wealthy, and we were turned away with scorn. Yet you, who have so little, offered us everything." Hera smiled, her divine beauty illuminating the room. Your kindness is a rare jewel, Arian. You treated us not as gods, but as fellow beings in need. Your heart is pure. Arian, still overwhelmed, could only stammer, I only did what I thought was right. Every traveler deserves kindness. Hermes clapped him on the shoulder, his touch sending a warm tingle through Arian. And that, my friend, is a lesson many mortals have forgotten. You have reminded us of the goodness that can be found in the simplest of places. The gods invited Arian to sit and dine with them, sharing the magical feast. They talked for hours. They didn't speak of divine battles or cosmic secrets. Instead, they asked Arian about his life. They listened intently as he spoke of the joy of watching a seed sprout, the satisfaction of a hard day's work, and the simple pleasure of a quiet evening. They learned from him about contentment, humility, and the quiet dignity of a simple, honest life. In turn, Arian, feeling more at ease, asked them not for power or gold, but for wisdom. He asked how to be a better farmer, how to understand the rains and the seasons more deeply. The gods, impressed by his humble request, shared with him secrets of the earth that no mortal had ever known. As the night drew to a close, Zeus stood and looked at Arian. For your unparalleled hospitality and pure heart, we wish to grant you a gift. Ask for anything, and it shall be yours. Riches, power, long life. Arian thought for a moment. He looked around his small, beloved cottage, then out the window at his fields, sleeping under the moonlight. He smiled. Great ones, he said. I have everything I could ever want. I have my health, my land, and the joy of my work. But if I may be so bold, I have one small request. The gods leaned in, curious. This little cottage, Arian continued, has been my home for all my life. It has served me well, and tonight it has been honored by your presence. My wife and I lived here happily until she passed. My only wish is that when my time comes, I might serve you here in this place, and that we may leave this world together, so that neither of us has to see the other's resting place. The gods were moved by his selfless and loving request. Zeus nodded solemnly. Your wish is granted, Arian. Your cottage will become a temple, and you and your wife shall be its guardians. You will serve us here for the remainder of your days, and when your time is at an end, you will not be separated. And so it was. The next morning, when the villagers awoke, they were astonished to see that where Arian's humble cottage once stood, there was now a magnificent temple of gleaming marble and gold. And serving as its priests were Arian and, miraculously, his wife, returned to him, both looking as they did in the prime of their lives. They lived for many more years, greeting all who came to the temple with the same warmth and kindness Arian had shown the three strangers. When their final day came, as they stood on the temple steps, they were transformed. Arian became a mighty oak tree, strong and steadfast, and his wife an elegant linden tree, their branches intertwining as if in a gentle embrace, forever standing together, watching over the valley. The story of Arian, the farmer who dined with the gods, reminds us that the greatest treasures aren't gold or power. They are kindness, generosity, and a humble heart. True wealth lies not in what you have, but in what you are willing to give. Thank you so much for joining me for this story today. If you enjoyed it, please hit that like button and consider subscribing for more tales from myth and folklore. Let me know in the comments what you thought about Arian's wish. Until next time, stay curious and be kind.